Blackwater River Farm today. I haven't been here in, well, good month and a half, 2 months maybe. But it's July 2nd. It's time to get trail cameras out. Maybe get a look at some velvet bucks in the area. Check out this food plot and just put out some cameras and, you know, see what I can do about putting together a plan for this coming fall. Food plot wise, it looks like it's going to be clover. Well, it's weedy for sure, but there's a lot of clover in here and some other deer food as well. That a lot of it probably isn't palatable in the fall, but there's some deer food here, and it's I need to have something in here for a fall attraction. But they're definitely using it. I mean, they're tearing it up now, and there'll be clover here in the fall. But I feel like I need to probably offer something else. This whole end of it, the clover is pretty. I mean, there's weeds coming up, but it's a lot of clover down low. There's like a little fawn bed right there. I had a deer just blowing at me when I first walked up here. Got this cell camera set up on a mineral. Need to make sure, I want to get some velvet pics here. Make sure, go ahead and trigger it here. Make sure I got it pointed in the right direction. It should send me a picture here in a couple minutes. Anyway, that's one camera out. I have a stand right up in there. I think I want to move it right over here and put it up in that multi-trunk maple there. Just put it right on this food plot. I can access it pretty good, and if I'm going to get I know you don't want to hunt your food plots too much, but I always set up to where I can hunt them a few times in a season. And if I'm ever going to shoot anything off this food plot, I think I'm going to have to get up on it a little closer, and I think that's the tree to do it. Any sort of a south wind, I can get away with some west stuff there. East for sure. East is bulletproof, so there's a lot of winds. I could get in there and hunt this. And I parked my truck just basically behind that timber right there, so may look at doing that this afternoon. 2 more cameras put out. Yeah, down on this end, I mean, it's predominant clover. And you can tell the deer, there's trails through it, droppings. They're using it. So this could be a chance, maybe possibly a chance to get on something early season. We'll see. Okay, this little camera's been out since the end of hunting season. I'm sure the batteries are dead now, but potential it picked up something, you know, late season along the way. But this property, before it was in WRP, was it was farm ground. Everything all back up in there was all farm ground. It probably was, I don't know, 15, 20 acres of tillable on this 30 that I've got here. But the whole thing, back in the day when it was farmed, was surrounded by this terrace that goes all around this end, the south end of, you know, next to the river in a C shape, to keep the black water from getting in it every time it sprinkles. But the low side of this terrace is a pretty well used travel corridor. There's tracks in here now, so I'm gonna take that camera down, put up one that's got fresh batteries, and this one actually I think is set up for video, so just reset that one out and I'll freshen up the batteries and put that one somewhere else. Well, this is a stand my son and I put up. Had high hopes for it, and still do really, but was only able to hunt it a couple times last year. But it hunts the backside of, well, that's the backside of my duck pond, all up in there, and it's just bedding. That's my most, well, more deer bedding in this area than anywhere else on the farm. In fact, it's the only bedding except up north of the food plot, which the food plot is on the other side of all this cover. But there's some bedding opportunities up on the northern side of the food plot. But with any kind of a west wind, really any kind of a south wind. I know, you're right on the highway here. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a big buck killed out of that stand. It's a morning stand for sure. And this is Sunday mid-morning, so going to be a lot of traffic out there on the highway. But I promise you, if you're sitting there at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot of cars. But just because the highway is right there behind that stand does not mean a big buck cannot be killed here. Okay, with this being a bottom ground farm, there's a lot more maples than there are oaks. But deer love to browse these young maple shoots. Anything that's within their reach, they're going to browse on it. So these all have some sucker branches because they're catching a little bit of sunlight right here, but every one of them's been browsed off. Everything down low has been browsed off. They even reached up and got some of that higher stuff there. All browsed up in through here. Don't overlook maple. As deer food. I really feel like I need another 2 or 3 cameras on this terrace drainage because it's just deer sign all down through here. And I think figuring out how the deer are coming on and off the property as far as in relation to the bridge and the creek and the road here, it's kind of the key to figuring out how to hunt this place. So at some point I think I need to saturate this side of the farm, particularly this drainage, with some more cameras to figure out what's going on. That rut stand I was just talking about, it's quite a ways down there, 150 yards. And that first camera I stopped at, it's still on up there a bit, so it's a good stretch here. Definitely an area here where some wildlife are coming across, using a little flood washout pond there, and I think that'd probably be a good place to catch some bait fish at some point. But anyway, this is a cool little farm. I don't know if I'm going to have time to hunt it too much this year. I'm seriously thinking about opening it up to some sort of a lease for this coming fall. But I still need to iron out all the details and really decide what I want to do on that. But this is a cool place, and you know, I jumped on it when it came up for sale and got it for a very good price. As far as if you try to buy land right now, per acre, what I paid for this was nothing. So really grateful to have it, and I really want me or somebody to shoot a big buck on this farm. We just got to figure out how to do it. My oldest son has been camping here a little bit, so he's using it. But it looks at this campsite, it's been a while since he's been down here. He's gonna have to come get his tent, but it's a nice little setup, a little getaway that's not too far of a getaway, and a lot of action here. River is right there, fishing opportunities, hunting, trapping, ducks. Who cares about ducks? Some people do. This is the river stand, I guess what we'll call it. We're just like, I don't know, 30 yards from where it drops down to the black water there. The idea here was to just hunt this movement along the river. Maybe catch a cruising buck. This stand again, I hunted twice I think all year, and had some does in bow range, came through right behind me here. That was probably the only, I only hunted this farm 4 or 5 times, and this is the only sit where I actually could have, you know, had a deer in bow range. So, you know, still figuring this farm out. But this is another stand, high hopes for it. Didn't have any success this year, but not ready to move it or give up on it. A lot of these stands may need to be, you know, tweaked a little bit, 20, 50 yards here and there. But for the most part, I'm going to kind of stick with them. I've got 4 stands on this farm. 1 I want to move. The other 3 I'm going to leave where they're at and hold judgment as far as location until we get another fall under our belt of seeing how the deer move here. Okay, the idea with this stand is to hunt this transition from pasture to this sort of this walnut, or not walnut, but oak. I don't know, it's not an oak savanna, but it's just a area with just a lot of big oaks. They're pin oaks and maybe shingle oak. But that's the idea with this stand, just to sort of hunt that transition from pasture to these oaks to this bottom ground timber. And there's a trail here that I've made. This is actually the very first hunt on this farm. I hunted that stand, pulled the camera on the way in, and literally like an hour and a half before I sat in that stand, there was some guy walking through, just hiking through with his walking stick. You know, thought this was part of the park. I think I've got all that problem resolved, and I've, you know, locals know that somebody owns this. It's not part of the park, but as you can see, all of my stands are old man friendly. I can still climb, I can still do all the monkey stuff it takes to get into a deer stand, but I prefer not to. So that first hunt, when I had the trespasser here, that was the first video I ever had with more than 1,000 views. So I thought that was interesting how you throw a little drama out there and people are interested in it. Since then, I've had more luck with my YouTube stuff, and people actually take interest in the hunting and the habitat part of it too. But that was an interesting lesson to learn about what people will click on when they're checking out YouTube videos. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this stand. This is the one I was talking about. You can actually shoot over into the food plot. It's right near where I park my truck. But since I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and move it about 30 yards that way. But I was looking at it, looks like this one's been tampered with a little bit. Like, I would have never left it like that. Somebody has kicked the ladder over to the side. I don't know if to get some wider side by side or something through here. Not sure what that's about, but I would not have left it like that. All right, there it is. Multi-trunk maple sitting right on the food plot. I can access in the back door here. Come in behind this brush pile, which was created from clearing the food plot, and then I parked just right over there. Not even a 40-yard walk. So I think that's a little bit better setup than the other spot.